In this video, I'm going to go over my time in both Mogadishu and Hargeisa. As I was exploring just a little bit, I ran across some unexpected situations, ran across a few things that caught my eye and things that I just didn't know before coming. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the video. Let me start off by saying that getting to this region was pretty difficult. My initial plan was never to go to Hargeisa, which is in the northern region, because I heard it was quieter, a lot more chill and relaxed, and the city's a lot smaller, which there's no problem with that, but I prefer what I heard about Mogadishu, which is it's larger, more populated, more developed, etc., etc. However, getting to Mogadishu was difficult. I booked 2 flights to go there, and at the airport, I couldn't get on the plane. I didn't have proper documentation to go there. That's why I decided to go to Hargeisa. But I will say I'm glad I did go. I'm glad I went to the northern region first because I believe it was a great intro into this area. Also, it was easier for me to film. We're going to talk about that in a second. And again, it was as described online, a lot chiller, more relaxed, and it had good vibes. Along with the difficulty of trying to fly to Mogadishu, booking a hotel there was difficult also. I emailed multiple accommodations. None of them replied back. I decided to WhatsApp them because many of the sites you couldn't book online. And for some reason, man, they took forever to reply, like days to answer a simple question. And I don't think it's the Wi-Fi situation because I was just there, like many places have internet. But let me say shout out to Jazeera Palace. In the beginning, I didn't message them because their prices were kind of high. The room I paid for was $150 a night, and I think that was on the low end. When all the other hotels pretty much ghosted me, I decided to call Jazeera Palace and got me a room there immediately and took care of me. So shout out to Jazeera Palace. So again, it was very difficult trying to get to Mogadishu, at least from my experience. Now, for people who don't know, I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I grew up around, pretty much every ethnic group you can think of. Some of you guys probably don't even know what a Tongan is. Some of you guys probably have never seen a Samoan in real life or a Hmong. I grew up around all those ethnic groups, except for maybe Russians. Now, when it comes to East Africans, I grew up around Ethiopians. That's why I went to Ethiopia. Grew up around Eritreans. I had to go to Eritrea, and I grew up around Somalis, and this is why I'm here now. However, one thing growing up I didn't really hear much about was Somaliland. Now, there's more to the story, but in a nutshell, Somaliland is a self-proclaimed sovereign state. They pretty much govern as if they were their own country, which is one of the reasons why it was easier for me to go to Hargeisa first, because the requirements were different. I didn't need all the documentation to get to Hargeisa that I needed for Mogadishu, which is in the south. But one of the things is that Somaliland is not recognized by the majority of countries worldwide. Growing up, I may have heard of Somaliland once or twice. Either way, I didn't realize Somaliland was a region that was trying to become a recognized country. So this is why in the north, you'll hear, Somaliland, Somaliland, Somaliland. But then once you get to the south, they're like, nah, that's Somalia. This is one example of sort of understanding a little bit about the politics of the country you're going to, not to talk about it, but so you don't talk about it, if that makes sense. The major point I'm sure a lot of people are interested in hearing is about the safety. The northern regions are said to be a lot safer. And honestly, it felt that way. Whenever I'm in a country, I always try to gauge safety, not by how I feel, but how the locals interact and how they move. So when it gets dark, is everyone inside? Are women clutching their purses? Are people wearing their backpacks in front of them on their chest? When I'm telling somebody like the hotel staff or something, hey, I plan to go out, are they telling me, no, don't go, be careful, blah, 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 blah. I didn't really get any of that when I was up north in Hargeisa. Now, when it comes to Mogadishu, it was a little different. The first day, my plan was to walk out of the hotel, walk a few blocks, and then start filming. I told myself, you know what, let me do the opposite. Let me catch a ride into the city and film on the way back. And I'm glad I did it that way because as I was riding to my first destination, all I saw were military checkpoint, police, soldier, military checkpoint. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be difficult because I don't film military personnel. I don't film cops. I don't do any of that. And then when I eventually got to my destination, which was a statue, I tried taking a quick picture and there were security guards waving me off, telling me, no. Then when I got to the theater, I couldn't film there. So my experience from walking around Mogadishu, it felt like a huge military base. And all of this made it very difficult, especially because of my filming style. I like to just walk on the streets and just soak the vibe in. Now, some people may be asking, Sly, why didn't you maybe book a tour or go through a travel agency? The thing is, for me, it depends on the situation. I'll give you an example. When I looked up things to do in Mogadishu, some of the main hotspots were the beaches. I don't need a tour guide to take me to the beach. I can go myself. Another popular spot was a statue, a monument. I don't need a tour guide for a monument. I don't need a guide to take me to a theater. So the point I'm trying to make is the popular sites didn't require a tour guide, at least for me. But I did not know beforehand that I would have difficulty just trying to snap a simple picture. I spoke to a travel agency about this and they said because you're a foreigner and you're by yourself, so people are going to be suspicious of you. They said if you go with a Somali agency, a Somali tour, a Somali person, well, you'll have no problems. But if you're by yourself trying to take pictures, it can be a little difficult. One good thing about these two places, and I'm sure the whole region as a whole is probably like this, but it's dollarized. Normally, I opt to use local currency when I'm in a foreign country or my bank cards. Well, in Mogadishu, along with Hargeisa, they don't accept bank cards in many places. If not the majority of places, they won't accept them. So using the dollar was great because I hate going to a country for a few days or so. I always have leftover currency that I can't use outside of their country. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're coming, make sure if you do bring dollars, two things. One, you have small bills, 1s and 5s, because no one's going to have change. Most people here use mobile payments. Second thing, when it comes to bringing dollars here, make sure they're in mint condition. When it comes to the local currency, it can be ripped, faded, crumbled. But when it comes to the dollar, if you have the smallest rip or nick on your bill, they won't accept it. They are so picky when it comes to US bills, which was frustrating because some of my bills had just a little small cut on them, nothing serious, but they wouldn't accept them. Just a few more points on the list. This next one is just a random thought, but out of all the countries I've been to, the top two that have the largest portion sizes when it comes to food, United States of America and Somalia. Which is interesting because if anyone understands the people here, their stature, they're very slim and slender. Not all of them, because, some of the ladies, ooh-wee. And I was thinking about this and it might have just been my situation because I ate at the hotels a lot and a few cafes. Maybe the average Somali person in Mogadishu or Hargeisa, they may not agree with me. I don't know. And last but not least, let me say that I do want to visit this area again, especially Mogadishu. I wasn't prepared based off of not being able to film the way I wanted to. Maybe in a few years, once they kind of get the situation under control, and the situation I'm referring to is the one where people strap themselves with bombs and they run somewhere and they blow up. Once they can get that out the way, I would love to go back because I had a few more places on the list. But anyways, that's the video. These were just some things that I didn't know before going, some things that caught me off guard when I got there. I know most people are not going to Mogadishu, but just for anyone who's thinking about going, I hope this video has helped you. It's provided some insights, help you prepared better, learn from my mistakes. The next country should be nearby as well. We'll see how this goes because I heard it's very difficult to film in this place. Okay, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys at the next video. Deuces.